easily. You know, there would have been a number of instances where the National Executive Committee would have expressed itself on what it thought was a deliberate attempt to really liquidate the role of the leadership out in society. Now, a self-respecting leadership of the ANC will not allow itself to be self-liquidated without needing to come out and read through what's on the rule book. I mean, 25.9 of the ANC Constitution does empower the National Executive Committee to institute disciplinary actions. And 25.56 of the ANC Constitution does empower the ANC, NEC, PEC, or REC to institute, to effectively proceed with temporary suspension. So the actions that we are taking are consistent and in line with the Constitution of the African National Congress. Has Comrade Carl been made aware? Of course, he has been made aware. And I'm sure that he might have also made his own efforts to circulate the letter that was given to him, because the letter is already doing rounds on various other social media platforms. Of course, when he appears before that kind of a disciplinary process of the African National Congress, he may choose or elect to have anyone who's a member of the ANC to represent his case and all of that. So, I mean, we don't, by the time we come to communicate with the media, a big decision like this, we would not want to infringe on the rights of our members. Because we're a self-respecting organization, we make sure that we first brief members of the organization of the decision we've taken, especially if that decision impacts on the role that they are still expected to play in the organization going forward.
There are developments coming out from Uganda today. Of course, we are expecting the police minister. He has been given 3 days to make the arrest of President Jacob Zuma. That expires today. Your position as the ANC, do you support the call by the Constitutional Court to make the arrest of the former president, especially now? We also know that they're asking the matter before the Pule Mabe High Court. We also know that there is that decision matter that is also against the Constitutional Court in Monday. As the ANC, do you think that the law should take its course in this position, and your former president of the country and the former president of the ANC, should abide by?
Also, if I may, yes, with regards to the former president of Uganda, Jacob Zuma, if the ANC, NEC, and NSP, even the top 6 of the party, speak to him about these developments around him. I'm asking because during the press conference in Uganda, he did say he's never had a word from the NEC and he doesn't believe one should come to the NEC or the top 6 of the ANC. Has there been any reaching out to him on the side of the NEC and probably the top 6 of the ANC?
Okay. No, well, I wouldn't even want to get into the issues and the situation that could be obtaining in Uganda at the moment. We have spoken at length about that yesterday. These are matters of law enforcement agencies. The ANC should never be seen over-expressing itself on matters or decisions that it did not take. Because there's a risk once the ANC begins to do that. There's a risk of wanting to speak on the merits and demerits of cases. Now, we are a political movement. We are not a judicial commission. We do not subject any of our cadres to courts of laws. It's the courts that really invite them to appear before them and take their own decisions. As matters stand now, without even going into the nitty-gritties of the issues, these issues are now before law enforcement agencies. The ANC has expressed itself that it will not want to interfere or want any political interference being seen to being undertaken towards our own judiciary in the country, that we respect the independence of the judiciary and uphold the supremacy of our own constitution, and also respect the rights of every individual to approach the courts, to be heard, and to be treated fairly. This has been the position of the African National Congress. Well, of course, I mean, there has been such efforts through the Provincial Executive Committee of KwaZulu-Natal, you did see some of NEC members were there, comrade. There were cadres that would have met with the Provincial Executive Committee, including our own national deployees over the weekend, to just get an understanding of how they are dealing with that situation. The provincial chairperson and the provincial secretary of KwaZulu-Natal are equally ex-officio members of the National Executive Committee of the African National Congress. So when they meet and engage with our former president, President Jacob Zuma, they do so for and on behalf of the National Executive Committee. And they did give an account out to the public on what came to characterize their engagement. I'm sure.
Are there no engagements that are going to involve the president to try to have some convincing as the ANC to do the right thing?
Well, Mangoba, should there be anything that comes out of the ANC which requires us to communicate out to the public, we shall certainly do so. We're invited yourselves today. While we know that there are matters of current affairs, and that, I mean, you being journalists, there will always be that temptation to want to veer into those. But today's briefing really wanted to just give an update of the actions that are being undertaken as it relates to matters of discipline. If there's not any other question that is needing to deal with that part, may I suggest that we close the briefing so that we do not veer off the line from the issues that we shall have invited you to come and talk about. Well, in Baliwebet, we expressed ourselves yesterday. It is indeed a sad day. We had never imagined that one day in the life of our own democracy, we'll have to deal with a situation like this. But law enforcement agencies are independent from the African National Congress. And the African National Congress will never want to be seen to be interfering with the work that they are doing. Okay, thank you very much.